All right, welcome back, everybody. I am Chase.
I'm Christian.
We are the RMFantasy SXperts. Thanks for tuning in this week for round 11 of Monster Energy Supercross and RMFantasy SXperts, the place that you go to get the stats and the insight to make your picks for fantasy.
That's right. That's what we do.
Now remember, if you're watching this, we also have our podcast on all the major platforms. If you're listening, if you want to watch, see some entertainment, then watch us on YouTube. We do these episodes every single week. We got a lot to talk about. Daytona's in the books.
Yep.
Let's get right into it. This is our race recap. All right, Christian, so round 10, Daytona, my favorite race of the year. It's come and gone. Did not disappoint. Let's talk about the results real quick. Eli Tomac, first place.
The first time he wasn't the top pick to win, of course he's going to win.
He does it, I know. Cooper Webb, second place.
Strong second.
Man, that guy's consistent. Marvin Musquin, third place. Blake Baggett, fourth. Joey Savacci, another strong top five. And voila, the man, the myth, the legend, Chad Reed.
Everybody out there that picked him on the wild card, pat yourself on the back. That was the highest correct
right here. Got
picked
it.
wild card ever. 27%.
Well, I'm glad I was smart enough to do it.
It was one shy of 20,000 people had him picked for wild card.
Now, what I find interesting is that last week we had the caller, Malcolm Stewart, on the phone. Some riders were talking about how the track was going to be too jumpy. Turns out a lot of riders said they loved the track, and it made for some dang good racing.
Everyone but Plessinger, I think, liked it.
Yeah, that was a bummer. Do you have any highlights you want to share?
We got to talk about Baggett just getting shot out of a cannon, taking the lead, holding off Musquin and Tomac, sending it off that wall.
It was
jump.
his race.
I did
at
too.
that point. I really did.
I was saying, he announced that, you know, he's got a baby on the way. If he wins, do we name that baby Daytona? I was hoping for that, but he faded back.
Rox and Seeley, kind of bummer. The two HRC teammates get tangled up in the first turn.
I mean, every rider's due for one of those a season. Let's get out of the way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Musquin, kind of a rough night. Surprisingly, still finished third, but you wouldn't think it after looking at it. Flies off the track. Stalled, and then stalls his bike in the next corner. But other than that, he rode solid. Yeah, Plessinger crashed, and our favorite highlight of the night is Alex Ray.
Oh, just can't catch a break.
Went down in that sand section. They probably had 4 or 5 dudes come by and just take his handlebars and knock his bike down.
Dude, I don't know how he didn't go full Weston bike on that.
Poor guy. Well, because they were going. Like, they weren't falling over on him.
He had to have some rage inside of him at that point.
Talk about stats. So what do we got?
The stats. Of course, we finally had our first perfect scores of the year, 16 people. So congrats
From
to them.
0 to 16.
That's first ones all year.
Jeez.
Another fun fact with that, in round 11 in the last 2 years, we've had perfect scores too. So
okay.
Something there maybe.
Average points, 43.61, the highest of the year.
Yep. Everybody did good.
That's because Reed over there getting the wild card.
Yep, there's half of it. So, and then 41.96% had at least 2 picks right. Like I said before, only one shy of 20,000 had Chad Reed in the wild card. But the surprising thing to me was Roxon. It was like 4.5 people left him out of the top 5.
They knew something.
They knew something was going on. And, of course, Webb was the most picked to win for the first time maybe ever.
And of course, he doesn't win.
And Eli wins. So.
Yeesh. Well, you and I, we had a good week. I got, let's see here. I got 78 points. You got 50. Jim and Daniel. Jim got 96.
I know. I thought we were doing really good.
Daniel got 31, so we only gained like a point or 2, but
that's better than nothing. Yep.
Andreas Barsha, is he coming back this weekend?
He's back this week.
All right, Barsha is back. But now, unfortunately, Aaron Plessinger, he's going to be out. Vince Freezy. Yeah, Vince Freezy's still gone. Anderson, Stewart, Bloss, those guys are all going to be out. But Indianapolis.
Let's go to the Brickyard.
Let's do it. Let's talk about it. This is Track Trends.
Looking into the Indy track this year, it looks the layout looks really similar to last year's Indy. So
yeah.
It's good to know what happened there last year, but it looks like a medium-sized straight, football stadium, of course, the long lanes, 2 whoop sections, and the 180 sand turn that riders, I think Justin Brayton posted on his Instagram, he didn't like it. A bunch of big-name riders were on that train with him, not liking it. As a viewer, though, how can you not like it? So, I don't know.
Now, last year we talked about some highlights. Kind of interesting, the podium. It was Musquin, Dean Wilson second place, Justin Brayton got third.
Yeah, not a likely podium.
But Tomac in that race, he crashed, took a break, took a little breather on the tough block, and then got back into the race. So it was a weird podium last year. But here's something I noticed with the track. If you look at the start straight, it just goes into a sweeping left turn, but it's not really a 180 degree or even like a 90.
Yeah.
So I really don't feel like the start is going to be as crucial. I still think it'll be important, but I think it won't be as much as a disadvantage for somebody who doesn't maybe get the best starts like Tomac.
Yeah,
just
maybe.
something I thought.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So other than that, those are your track trends. But now let's talk about it. How do you make those top 3 picks or even your top 5? So now we're going to give you the stats that you need to make those picks. This is our top contenders. So for this week's top contenders, we have Eli Tomac, Cooper Webb, Blake Baggett, Marvin Musquin, and Ken Roczen on the table. But Christian, if you ask me, the hardest pick to make this week is going to be, do you put Tomac or Webb in first place?
That's how I'm feeling. That's what I'm hearing.
So
we looked into it to try to
I think
help
everyone's hearts are telling them Tomac because there's so many people that love to see him win. He just won last week. But let's talk stats.
Yeah, let's see what the stats say because they don't lie.
But there are some interesting things about Tomac that you should want to know. So he is 19 points behind Webb right now, so he needs 2.7 points per round to win the championship.
To guarantee it.
To guarantee it. After round 10 last year, Tomac won or took second in 6 of the 7 remaining rounds.
With 4 wins in 2 seconds.
4 wins, yep. And his starting, he didn't start worse than 10th. So he turned it on last year in those final rounds.
This is his time.
And he won Indianapolis 2 years ago, 2017. He won he led 25 laps. So, oh man.
He just needs to have a good bounce back ride. Both times he's won, he's been out of the top 5 the next round. And he started out of the top 5 in 2 of the 4 East Coast standard rounds. So he's got to get those starts down for sure.
All right, well, now what about Coop?
Cooper, he's only finished out of the top 5 twice this year. He has 2 hole shots out of the 4 East Coast standard rounds. So his starts,
he's been nailing the starts.
You can bank on those for sure.
That's the only reason that I feel like he's still a safer bet for first and Tomac's because you can count on Webb to be up there in the start.
I have to agree with that. I mean, and he's placed first or second in every race overall on the East Coast. And he has the best average overall finish of the season now.
3.2.
3.2, that's crazy. And every time he's gotten the whole shot in a standard round, he's won. So once he gets out there, it's pretty much over.
But listen to his last 5 overall finishes. 1-1, 2-1, 2.
You can't put him anywhere but there, no doubt.
So he's still a first place pick.
I think so, yeah.
All right. Now, between Marv and probably Ken Roczen and Baggett, let's talk about these guys. Musquin, he had the 2nd fastest lap time last week in Daytona. I had him picked to win. He was the fastest qualifier. He still hasn't led a lap. And I thought he was going to do it. He has 7 podiums out of 10 rounds this year.
4 thirds, 3 seconds.
Wow.
But he hasn't finished worse than 3rd in the last 6 standard rounds, including he's finished 3rd in the last 4 East Coast standard rounds. So he's right in 3rd. Even though he can start from 2nd to 8th, he's finished 3rd.
It's mind-blowing that you can be that consistent all year and he's still he's not in the championship chase right now. Well, he's 19 or 20 points, whatever it is, behind. So
I know.
Pretty wild.
Look at his last 5 finishes. 3-3, 6, 3-3 overall.
He is getting mad.
He's
Webb came in and just stole his glory.
If he wants to get talked about and really have a good chance, he's got to do something. He's got to push harder than he has been, that's for sure.
All right.
Roczen finally had his bad week.
He did. He went down that first turn. That was the first time he hasn't finished in the top 5.
Yeah, first time.
First time all year. 4.2% had him outside, so I don't know what you guys were thinking.
I want to talk to those people.
But he did climb from 19th to an 8th place finish, so he's riding good. And he hasn't raced Indianapolis since 2016, so we really don't have a lot of stats to give you on him over the last few years.
He did take 2nd in that race.
Yeah.
Hasn't gone more than 3 rounds this season without leading laps. Has things with 2s and 8s, I've noticed. In 3 of the 4 East Coast standard rounds, he's qualified 8th and took 2nd in 2 of them. And in the other one, he qualified 2nd and took 8th. So I put the tinfoil hat on where I took the number 28, the guy who's 28th in overall points this week, at this point, Mike Alessi, and the wild card's 15th around his range. So I'm thinking maybe a Mike Alessi sign for the wild card. I don't know. That's a lot of tinfoil hat going on.
You just confused me, but we'll continue on with Blake Baggett. All right, so Blake Baggett, he has the best average start in the East Coast standard rounds of 3.25. So the man's start's been dialed in. Now, minus his DNF in Minneapolis, he's started and finished in the top 5 for every East Coast round.
And he had space in 4th when he went down. He's probably going to be there.
He was going to top 5, yeah, I believe that. And he's one of the first 5 riders to lead laps in East Coast standard rounds.
Yeah, only 5 riders done it. He's one of them.
Yeah. Last 5 standard round finishes 21, 4, 5, 2, 4.
Nope. So
the man's a top 5.
He's been in the top 5 consistently. And then the thing I got to talk about with these 4 where there's such a big gap between these two and these two, you feel like.
So between Tomac and Webb and then Musquin and Roczen.
Yeah, you kind of feel like a first tier, second tier, but I don't know. When I looked at the standard round season averages, Webb, Musquin, and Roczen all have the exact same average finish down to the 100th.
Wow.
At 3.63. They all have similar starting averages from 4.63 with Musquin up to 6.75 with Webb. And they're all qualifying about the same too. The only difference is Webb has 4 standard round wins, Tomac has 2, and laps led. Webb's led 62, Tomac 27, Roczen 26, and Musquin, with all that good stats going on in finishes, he hasn't led a lap. So
interesting.
With how gapped they are, it seems like they're really not that far apart.
Right.
So.
All right. Well, there you have it. That is our top contenders. Who do you put in first this week? That's the big question.
It's tough.
It is tough. But now let's talk about it. We talk about it every week. Those riders that could crack the top 5. This is our weekly spoilers. All right, so for this week's weekly spoilers, we have 6 riders on the table. All could possibly crack that top 5. Some have done it, some might.
Some might, some people think they might. We need to cover it all.
First rider we got up here, we got Joey Savacci. Daytona was his 3rd top 5 finish of the season.
All of them have been on the East.
Which to me is kind of deceiving. I would have sworn he'd have more top 5s than that.
Yeah.
All right, but his average start on the East is 5.25 in 3 of the top 5 finishes.
He's had 2
3
fifths,
top 5
1
finishes.
fourth, and he's led 14 laps.
Yeah, so the East Coast is his thing. So I think he's
doing
a
good.
safe bet for top 5. And then we get to Zach Osborne. The man's had a rough go so far this year.
Rough start.
But Daytona was by far his best showing. He got 6th place.
He looked good.
He did. He looked very good. He was fast. He qualified good. So I would not be surprised. I think at some point it's inevitable he will break into the top 5 during this year. But if you look at his last 4 finishes, I wouldn't tell you that. He went 22, 10, 22, and then 6. And his average start's only been 11.67. So that's kind of what's been holding him back a little bit. But if he gets a good start, he's got the speed to run up front.
Not a typical rookie. He's way older. So.
And then we jump into Justin Brayton.
Justin Brayton. He looked all right last week. He
did.
started in the top 5 in 2 of the 4 East Coast standard rounds, which is something to be said. And he's finished 4 spots ahead of where he's qualified in the last 2 rounds.
Yeah, now his last 5 finishes are 5, 10, 9, 7, 9. So not what I was expecting from Brayton this year, but like we've seen before.
He podiumed in Indy last year.
He did. And like I said, at some point he's going to shock everybody, so it could be this weekend. All right?
Dean Wilson just seems to be sliding farther and farther back to me. He got in. He couldn't get out of the first turn last week.
Yeah, he hit a tough block or something, went down in the first.
Him and Seeley and Roczen all went down.
Bummer.
He finished 11th. He hasn't had a top 5 since A1. His overall average finish is 8.10. So it's almost like if something happens in the lead and a few riders do go down, he could get close, but you're hoping for stuff to go right.
Still, to me, just hasn't put together yet. Not a safe bet.
I honestly feel safer with Justin Hill.
I don't even know why you put him on the table.
Dude, he took 7th last week. He looked fast. He might be putting it together now.
Yeah,
we don't know.
Okay, he got 7th. Before that was 13, 13, 11. And the man hasn't crashed.
So he's improving. He's improving.
Good for him, but he's not a spoiler. Move on.
All right. Justin Barcia come back from concussion.
Yeah, he's missed
Who
2
knows
weeks.
what type of shape he's in. I don't feel too safe with him. There's going to be the Barcia fans out there.
There's going to be a lot of Barcia fever.
Don't catch the Barcia fever, in our opinion, until you see practice at least. But before he did get injured, he had taken 7th in 3 of the last 5 rounds he was in.
Yeah, but he's only finished in the top 5. What was it? In one race. In one race.
A1, yeah.
Yeah, he won A1.
Him have only been in the top 5 one time.
Barcia, Wilson, and Brayton? Yeah. So don't get Barcia fever. That's all we're saying.
That's right.
But there it is. Those are our weekly spoilers. If you want to put them in your top 5, take that risk. It could pay off. But now let's get into it. We got to talk about it every week. What's the position for wildcard this week?
15th.
15th. Let's talk about it. Here's Wildcard Watch.
Wildcard this week's tough. 15th place. We've had it before.
That's right. Now, if there's ever one position you've got to listen to stats, this, for me this year, has been by far the most helpful.
You know what? We might not get it right all the time, but we have the riders up here that do most weeks.
Well,
so
let's talk about it. Kyle Chisholm. Chisholm's going to chiz.
He's going to chiz.
All right.
That's what he does. He's finished 14th once, 15th twice, 16th twice this year. Finished 15th last week.
Yeah, it sounded like a pretty good bet for 15th.
I like it because Barsha's coming back, Plessinger's out, so it's
right.
not really shifting too much.
Average finish this year is 16.57. He's made 9 out of 10 mains this year, so I don't think you have to stress too much about him not making the main event.
No.
What about Justin Bogle?
Justin Bogle is a wild card, just all in of himself. But he's finished 14th twice, 15th once, 14th at Daytona last week.
Yep.
Average finish, or he's raced 10 out of 10 mains this year, and his average finish is pretty close to where he qualifies. So watch where he's
Not even
qualifying.
one spot away from where he qualifies.
I mean, it's usually he's qualifying good and having not a good race, or qualifying bad and having a good race, but still, on average.
Either way, look at his qualifying.
Yeah.
All right, Ben LeMay. Haven't said this guy's name in a minute.
Since he took the wild card.
Yeah,
15.
but he's finished 15th twice, 16th 3 times in all of his gate drops this year.
Yep.
His average finish is 17.22. He's also made 9 out of 10 mains like Kyle Chisholm, and he hasn't finished more than 4 spots from his qualifying all year.
Yeah, so that'll be a good indicator on him.
Lastly,
Tyler Bowers.
I don't know. I don't think we're giving Tyler Bowers enough credit right now.
It seems like he's doing better than that, but I mean, the stats don't lie. He's finished 14th twice, 15th 3 times this year.
Man.
16th twice, and he finished 16th in Daytona last week. So
Oh, maybe I just confused. I thought he had a better result in last weekend. Wasn't he up front in the start?
it was the week before he started 7th. Remember?
Okay.
And then he faded back.
Interesting.
But on average, he finishes around 2.25 from where he qualifies, and then you can't get through the wild card without talking about Cole Martinez.
What about Cole Martinez?
Cole. He's had a rough couple weeks, finishing 20th and 22nd, but let's not forget.
He didn't make the main last week. Don't forget that.
Let's not forget he finished 15th in Oakland, 13th at San Diego, 16th at Arlington. I think Limegate kind of messed him up, but hopefully that's cleared up by now.
You know what? As much as I make fun of it, Cole Martinez, the man is one of the best Supercross racers in the world.
He's killing it.
Nobody else. To make a main event in Supercross, it is so incredibly hard. So props to all these guys.
Oh, it's no disrespect to put him here. We've had, what, 90 riders try to make a main this year.
Yep.
And only, I think, 41 have even scored points. So
well, that's actually a point that we're going to bring up next with our guest caller. We're going to get him on the phone right now. I'm pretty pumped for this. This is Between Two Berms with past 250, or is it East Coast?
East Coast champion.
East Coast 250 champion, Mr. Wil Hahn. Let's get him on the phone. Between Two Berms with Wil Hahn. All right, so we have him on the phone. This is a past Supercross champion.
2013. Beat Marvin that year.
Beat Marv. Here he is, Between Two Berms with Wil Hahn. Wil, thanks for calling in. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. Just enjoying a sunny day out here in California.
All right, we're joining a snowy day here in Utah.
Yep.
Well, so you're the team manager for Star Racing Yamaha, so for the 250 team. That been going good for you?
Yeah, honestly, this transition's been, I'd say, pretty unreal, and it got on the fast lane a lot quicker than I thought it was going to. Originally, like when I stopped racing, and kind of transitioned into, hopefully, this was the end goal, or I don't know if end goal is the right word, but this was the goal in general. And it just kind of, like I said, it got super fast, and all of a sudden you're thrown in and let's try this out. And it's been nothing but a pleasure being over here.
Right on. Now, your team's been successful, but I guess the elephant in the room, what is it going to take for one of your riders to beat these green bikes?
The bottom line is a start. I think we've gotten the starts to the first turn, but we've let them go into second turns. And that goes for kind of both coasts. You've got to give yourself a chance right off the bat. If you let Fortner or AC get out front and get comfy, I think that's kind of where you're losing the race.
So more aggressive right off the start in those first opening laps?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's it's always easy to say, but that's what needs to happen.
Oh, right on.
It's tough to do.
Well, for Anderson, you guys, they're always fast. They're always at the top of the board. So hopefully we'll see a win on those guys real soon.
Killing it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't think speed's an issue for us whatsoever. I think on either coast, really. I think raw speed. I mean, obviously Fortner's kind of seems like he's a bit in a league of his own right now. I hate to say that, but yeah, I mean, it seems like he's pretty unstoppable right now. So we've been working week to week and trying to figure out how we can get our guys up there to stop this running zone.
Right on. Okay, now transition a little bit from the 250 to the 450 class. From a past champion's perspective, what is more difficult mentally, to be in Cooper Webb's position, where you're the points leader, and maintaining and protecting that points lead or even growing it? Or is it more difficult to be in Tomac or Musquin's position knowing that you have to beat Cooper from here on out if you want to win this championship?
Man, that's a really tough question because I think depending on who has that lead also varies this question. But I think in Cooper's spot and how it is right now, I think Cooper's in a better position to where he can kind of control it. I feel like he's so mentally tough from what we've seen over the years on the 250. He's kind of proved that. And he's quietly doing that this year. Like, he's not as vocal as he was, say in 15 and 16. But at the same time, I think it's always easier to chase.
Okay.
All right.
Every time you're out front, it's easy to ride defensive or be like, oh, you don't need to take a chance here. But that chance kind of got you there in that position. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
But I think it's always going to be easier to be the chase, to be the chaser.
Kind of nothing to lose, right?
Especially when your name's Eli Tomac.
That's what I mean.
I'm
Like,
sure.
you're in second now. All you got to do, you got to take a chance. But what happens if you get second at the end? Well, you tried,
Yeah.
So you're saying Tomac has him right where he wants him?
I don't know if he'd want that big of a points gap, but
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I'd say that he'd probably want to win a couple more races before he'd say that.
Yeah.
But do I think I'm sure he's stressed out about it. But at the same time, I don't think he's to the point where it's like this is what he wanted,
Yeah. All right.
I don't think he planned this situation.
Yeah, I don't think this is how he planned it on his head, but
He is in the best position he's been in years at this point.
ever in a 450 class. So you got that to look at. All right, Christian's got a good question for you.
We're just looking at this season, and it's been one of the best seasons to watch. But with all the past riders, I feel like that we kind of missed out on a season like this where everyone kind of runs away. If you could take a past retired rider and throw them into this season around their prime, who do you think would shake it up the most? Like a Dungey, a Villapoto, a J-Law, a Wyndham? Who would you like to see miss?
Stewart.
Stewart's kind of an easy one because everybody wants to see Stewart. But of the other guys, who do you think would really mix up with this crop?
There's no doubt that anytime you throw RV in a championship, it's something that would mix it up.
It's getting way serious at that point.
Do you still think RV could come back? Let's say RV was like, you know what? I'm going to come back for 2020 Supercross. You think he could be a title contender? I think he could.
Yeah, if you want to take it seriously enough again to train the right way. There's no doubt. The guy's got more talent and a gift on a motorcycle than most. That's noted in our work ethic, and he has this raw, I don't even know, determination that will not be beaten type of thing.
He gets that look in his eye.
Yeah, he honestly does. But at the same time, I think once you're kind of out and you've relaxed that, do I think he still has it in him? Yeah. I don't know if it could last all year like that now, but without a doubt, he would be a contender. There's no way you can't say that.
All right. Well, we still see Reed getting podiums.
That's right.
So
that's what I mean. There's no doubt that it could happen.
Mm-hmm.
But out of all the riders, do you have a favorite rider from one that you idolize or you loved watching ride from a style standpoint that you would throw in there?
Kevin Wyndham, no doubt about it.
Good answer.
I know.
Beard and all.
I know. I miss him.
I'm biased on that because we're really good friends, but there's not a doubt in my mind that there's a few people to watch ride that was more fun to watch than him.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I agree.
All right.
And the fact that he can talk to someone that he just met, they grew up together in the same town, went to high school, and it makes you feel like you've had a relationship with this guy for years rather than just meeting.
You don't talk to him; he talks to you.
Yeah, no,
the people's champ. I like that guy. So.
All right, so got to talk fantasy here. Fantasy, people out there right now, it's difficult. Tomac just won his third race, so everyone expects him to hopefully get on this roll, but you still got Cooper and Marv, who are always up there on the podium. You got Roxon, too. Give us who you think. Give us your top three
for Indy. And remember, Marv dominated there last year. So.
He did.
That's so difficult. So top three for Indy.
You got to do it. You got to do it.
Man, it's hard. I'm going to go. Man, the rut's there.
Marv still hasn't won or led a lap. Hasn't led a lap this year.
Mind, yeah.
I know. It feels like, I mean, it's got to be coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would think. But that's what I tell myself every weekend with Roxon, too, you know?
Yeah. No, I have too. I would say I'm going to go with Coop winning.
Okay.
And then I'm going to throw Roxon second and Marv third.
So Roxon comes back.
So Tomac's going to pull a recap of last year and take a break on the tough block and then just start racing again.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's so hard to call this. Like,
I know.
It is hard.
Obviously, Eli can win any second.
Mm-hmm.
Like, any weekend, he can win. So, it's so hard to call that.
All right, so you've got Coop for the win, Roxon second, Marvin third.
Yep.
All right.
I don't think it sounds too far off.
No, not too bad. Christian, what about wild card this week?
Wild card this week's, it's a tough one. It's 15th place. We've had 90 riders enter in this year. Only 39 have points. You want to give people, some insight on how hard it is to really make a main event and how good these guys really are that are really finishing there.
Well, that's the thing is, like, I think this year has been one of the deepest as far as, I mean, when you look at, you got a Plessinger and like getting an 8 sometimes, like, to me, that's a pretty big deal. Or even Dean Wilson, he almost won the first round. He's gotten 8, straight up before. And I think that's something that tells you how critical the starts are, how just everything is, like, overall in the 450 class right now. I mean, 250 is the same, but 450 is at a new level right now. And then just to get in the main event is tough. I mean, I even struggled my last year. It was if you didn't get a good start, there wasn't going to be any time to pass.
Well, I don't think a lot of people realize how good a 15th place rider really is.
Yeah.
I mean, he might be getting lapped, or when you compare it to like your top guys, he might seem like he's, some people even ask, well, why is he even out there racing if he's just getting lapped? Yeah. It's like, these are the fastest guys on the planet.
Yeah.
That's what people don't realize.
Yeah, that's the thing is, like, we talk about and think that if you went and saw them ride at any other track during the week, you'd be blown away.
Absolutely.
It's just that this is the elite of the elite, and, they're part of that too.
Yeah, I agree. Right. So 15th place this weekend, in 10 seconds or less, give us a name of who you think would be a good shoo-in for that spot.
Kyle Chisholm.
That's a good one.
Range. That's a good one.
That is a good one. All right.
So.
Well, hey, Will, we appreciate you calling in. That's really good info. We, especially talking about what's tougher mentally for these riders. Coming from a past 250 champion.
Fan favorite, too.
Fan favorite.
Yeah, good dude.
That's right. Well, hey, man, appreciate you. Thanks so much for calling in. Good luck to you and your team this weekend, and we'll see you out there at the races.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right, we'll see you.
I miss that dude out there.
Yeah, Will's a good guy.
One of the most likable guys.
I've talked to him before, and he is definitely one of the coolest guys out there. But you guys heard it from Will. You heard his podium. It's a pretty cool insight. What do you guys think, though? Who's in the tougher spot? Cooper Webb with the points lead, or Tomac or Musquin trying to chase him down?
I think it's Tomac, but...
I'd agree with you. What do you guys think out there? But now you know what time it is.
Time to lock him in.
Let's do it.
All right, in round 11, in the last 2 seasons, we've had perfect scores. So I'm going with conservative picks here, putting the best starter in the game right now, Cooper Webb, up for first. Eli Tomac second, even though I want to see those two battle it out for the lead bad.
Okay.
Marvin, he did good there last year. He'll do good again. Blake Baggett fourth. They all passed him last week, which kind of doesn't look good to me. Ken Roczen, I think, comes back up to fifth. Chisholm, I think, is a good spot there, but according to the tinfoil hat theory, I really am toying with these guys. I'm going to check my numbers that day.
Check your daily horoscope.
Check my horoscope, see what's going on there. So that's what I got.
All right. I agree with some of your picks, but I think you're playing it too conservative. You're not taking any risks.
I know.
This is predictable. What'd you do, roll over your picks from last week?
Looks like
All right. Well, I'm in accordance with a couple things. I also think Cooper Webb, going off the stats and how well he's been doing, you just can't count on Tomac to get those consistent starts like Webb. So I'm going to stick with Webb in first, Tomac in second, but here's where I'm going to mix things up a little bit. I'm going to keep Marv, but I'm going to put him to fourth place.
Okay.
I'm going to put Baggett in third, but I'm going to get rid of Ken Roczen. Don't know why. The guy just...
something's up.
Yeah, you know what? I think Osborne, he's got some momentum coming from last week.
I would actually love to see him in fifth.
And then I think Chiz is going to chiz. So going off the stats, the man, I think, is just a nice little cozy spot.
Dude, if we can lock this down this week, Jim and Daniel may be out.
They may be out.
So
I hope so. Well, there you go. Those are our picks. They are locked in. What do you guys think? Did we get it right? Comment below. Let us know what your picks are. Who do you have for first this weekend? Because that's probably going to be the hardest pick to make for people. And tell us why you put that person and who's going to be the next guy to crack the top 5.
That's right.
It's going to happen. There it is. Now let's talk about why you want to be playing RM Fantasy SX, because we give away lots of cool prizes. Here it is the prize recap.
All right, before we get into the weekly and grand prizes, everybody's a winner because we have a new offer code. Indy 10 will save you an extra 10% off a Tusk sag scale. You need one. You know somebody who needs one.
Gotta measure your sag, people.
Get the word out there. No better time than now to buy it. Save your extra 10% with that code. But getting into weekly prizes, week 11, the top 10 scorers. Going to get 2 sets of Pirelli MX32 mid to hard terrain tires. Second place, Bell Moto 9 MIPS helmet. Third, a Pro Honda prize pack, and then other prizes from OGO, ProPegs, Scotia, Fox, the Cherubies, Matrix Concepts, Fly Casual, and then, of course, 90 Rocky Mountain gift cards, so 100 chances to win.
Yep, 100 chances to win. Now, that's just the weekly prizes. Let's talk about the grand prizes, what you're playing for, the whole enchilada at the end of the year. First place, Race Prep KTM 450 SXF. Second place, Race Prep KTM 250 SXF. Third place, Moab Red Rock Getaway. Then we have a trip to Monster Energy Cup. Brock Glover's coming to town for the Dunlop Legend Ride. Fly Racing Gear Casual Package, Milestone the Video Game, Supercross to the Game Console, 4K TV, Motion Pro Tools, Tusk Impact Wheel Set, and lastly, finish all off Oakley Goggle and Sunglasses.
That's right.
Lots
of
prizes
out there. It's got to start feeling real to those people up in the leads. So.
Oh, I'd be freaking out right now. But there it is. Thanks for tuning in this week and watching RM Fantasy SXperts again, going into round 11.
That's right.
I can't believe how fast the season is going.
It's not too late to join our group, too.
Yeah.
Get in there, RM Fantasy SX Rivals, and it's East Coast. Don't miss the cutoff time. Go add that calendar. Hit the calendar button on the website. Get reminders for picks close every week.
Yep.
So.
And if you have not signed up yet, it takes you about 5 minutes. RMFantasysX.com. Create your free account. Make your top 5 picks wild card, and then have a fun time watch the races. I am Chase.
I'm Christian.
We'll see you next week.